Hi, my name is Mark Edwards, MC Tempo, and I'm going to be speaking to you a little bit about why does God allow suffering? When God does good things, we see glimpses of heaven, but through suffering we sort of see glimpses of hell. You talk to a burn victim, for example, who bears the scars from facing the flames, and though their skin is scarred, I bet they thank God that they only endured the fire for a short time and are alive today to tell the tale. Is that really suffering? Because in Mark chapter 9 verse 48, Jesus talks of a fire that never goes out. If we think we're suffering now, surely the Bible warns of a greater suffering which is yet to come to those who don't know God. And if the Bible is right in 1 John 4 verse 8 in saying God is love, it probes the question, how can a loving God allow suffering? Is God not really love? Is God lying? No, the Bible says in Hebrews 6:18 it is impossible for God to lie. Does God hate our sin? Yes. Proverbs 6 verse 16 preludes a whole list of our sin and doesn't mince its words in saying that God hates it. Instead of asking, why does God allow suffering, I often ask, how can a holy God of love, justice and mercy, knowing all that I thought, said and did yesterday, not send a lightning bolt through my head or peel back the ozone layer and use that big ball of fire that heats the planet to flipping fry me? Some of the thought that if God exists, it's his job to love me and I go through hard times and I suffer and he doesn't help me, so therefore he probably doesn't exist. So this question, why does God allow suffering, is really important. As many ironically dismiss God on the basis he somehow owes them and they suffer or have suffered. I say ironic because people seem to suffer more so without God, not just in this life but also for eternity. People suffer because they don't want to accept God, because of the fear that they might have to change their lifestyle. And they think that that would actually constitute them suffering. Kind of ironic. So they say God is powerless or just doesn't care, but actually he gives us freedom, doesn't he? He gives us free will. It's our choices that cause us pain. It's our choices that cause us suffering. We have the choice to do the right or the wrong thing. He also gives us the choice to accept or reject him. We go so far as to choose to accuse him, God. The fact we even accuse God of causing suffering is surely sinful in itself. Job 34 verse 10 says, "Therefore hear me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should cause wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong." Furthermore, Romans 3 verse 23, "For all have sinned, all fall short of the glory of God." That's us, all. That's you and me. The Bible teaches us that God has given us freedom, free will, not remote control will, not angel controlled will, but free will. It's not until we ask the question the right way around can we expect to get the right answer. Instead of asking why does God allow suffering, we should ask why do I cause suffering? See, that's the problem right there, isn't it? We don't want suffering, but we do cause suffering. Every time we tell a little white lie and quickly dismiss it as just that, a little white lie, every time we let someone down, every time we say bad things about people, every time we boastfully mock them on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, we are causing other people to suffer. This is what the Bible calls sin. We suffer because of our sin. If you disrespect your boss, you will suffer unemployment. If you are cruel to your wife or your husband, you will suffer divorce. If you eat and drink too much, you will suffer physical sickness and get fat, which makes your ego suffer as well. See, we're so quick to point the finger and say that the problem is out there, but really the problem is in here, in our hearts, in our motives, in our thoughts. We lie because it makes us sound better than we really are. We talk about people negatively because we like to show people how we are so much better than them. That's called self-righteousness. Again, sin. People often live under the misconception that God is in control of the world, when the Bible actually says quite the opposite. 1 John 5 verse 19 in the Bible clearly says that we know we are children of God and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one. So it's not God who controls the world. This world is a sinful world under the control of the evil one, and that's why we sin. And because we're all sinners, we all need forgiveness. If I say a bad thing about you and I offend you, I need to ask you for your forgiveness. And if I say or do a wrong thing that offends God, I need to ask God for his forgiveness. Have you ever felt that the world just is not as it should be? We like to blame God, don't we? Because it's a lot easier that way. It means that we don't have to take responsibility. We don't like to blame ourselves on our sin because we're nice and self-righteous, remember? We look to point the finger at others, but don't like it when the finger's pointed at us. Yet we seem to have this thing inside us that itches for equality, that demands justice. You see it at any football match where someone does a bad tackle and a stadium full of men simultaneously scream, "Referee!" This is what it means to be created in God's image. God hates injustice with a greater passion than you and I ever could. So all of our wrong justice that by rights we should pay the price for, he chose to take out on his own son instead of us. That is the love of God.